biggest mistake people make when choosing a solar and battery system for their home is looking at the products and pricing before actually understanding what their home needs. In this video, I'm going to talk you through the buying process step by step so you can design a system that's correct for you and avoid some really costly mistakes. Hey everyone, Dan here from GI Energy. Today I'm going to run you through a complete battery buyer's guide, solar and battery buyer's guide I should say. Solar can feel a little bit overwhelming when you're first looking into it. There's lots of things to consider. Obviously, what type of panels, what type of batteries, what type of inverter, what is it going to fit on my roof, what size system do I need, and all of those different things around buying the system for the first time. It's not like a car or a TV where you've been and done it before and you've got some experience there. It can be quite daunting, so hopefully this video is going to guide you through everything, and by the end of it you're going to really know what to go out and do to get the right system for you. So first things first, I think most people probably start in the wrong place. Most people tend to phone through, and when we first speak to them, they'll just ask, what type of panel have you got, what type of battery have you got, how much is it going to cost? And that's really, I think, the wrong place to start. I think a better place to start is with your load profile. So what does your system actually need to cater for? What I mean by that is basically, how do you use energy in the home? So what you should be looking at with a consultant that has lots of experience in the industry is how you use energy. So you can start that just by looking at your power bill. And on your power bill, it's going to tell you how many kilowatt hours a day you use. It might also have a chart there that shows you throughout the seasons how many kilowatt hours a day you use through different times of the year, which is a really helpful place to start. That number alone will just give you obviously the average daily use. The next step is then for you and your consultant to sit down and work out when you use that power. So you want to be looking at things like, how much energy do you use during the day when the solar panels are working? How much energy do you use overnight when the sun is set and the solar panels are no longer working? And then how much of that energy realistically can you concentrate into those daylight hours when the solar panels are working? Because it's always going to be more cost effective to do as much of that as possible, and that means then you're using less overnight and you can potentially have a smaller battery size, which reduces the overall system cost. It's important also to consider at that early stage what you want from your blackout protection. So if the grid fails, what do you want to happen in terms of how quickly do you want that backup to come on? What do you want it to back up? How long do you want it to last? So we'll go into a little bit more detail about that later in this video, but think about that really early on because I think it's a really important one for a lot of people. So your consultant should be able to sit down with you and discuss all of your appliances, especially the big ones. So ducted aircon is a massive one, pool pump, electric hot water, heating if you're in an area of the country where it does get cold in the winter. Electric vehicles obviously are becoming more and more popular and are a considerable draw on your electricity. And then all the other appliances, things like dishwashers, washing machines, can you work from home? What can you basically then intelligently run in the daytime on either timers or relays so that they use solar energy first? Once you've built up that load profile with your consultant, it's then about moving on to the next phase, which I would say is choosing the installer correctly. So you've gone through and you've spoken to a few people at this stage, you've got your load profile. If they haven't given you the time of day to correctly assess that load profile, then that for me is a red flag. But if you're shortlisting people, the next step before you go into products is to choose the installer. That might sound a little bit counterintuitive. The reason I would do it that way is you don't really want to get into the nitty gritty of all the tech detail of the products, and I'll go into reasons for that shortly. But choosing the right installer means that that person should be able to help you with those decisions and guide you along the way. So it's about the person that you're talking to and their experience and how much time they're willing to give you to help design the system, but it's also about the company that they represent. So I would ask for the ABN as a starting point and have a look at what their trading history is like and find out obviously how long they've been trading, look at their reviews, look at the responses to the reviews if there's negative ones. Dig deep really as much as you can into the company. If there's some concern there, you can ask them for their insurance details as well. They should have public indemnity and public liability insurance in place. And just do as much homework as you can about that company and about that person. You should be able to get a good feeling from someone through that design process to whether your interests are at their heart or whether their interests are. What I mean by that is if somebody's basically asking you 2 or 3 questions really quickly and saying, yep, here's your quote, these products are the bee's knees, here's why you have to have them, that's probably a little bit of a red flag. So moving on to product selection, once you've chosen that installer, and it doesn't mean you have to sign any paperwork yet until the products are detailed. I just mean once you feel comfortable with someone, then ask them about the product. And the advice you should be getting there really is not, here's the best product for you, here's why you have to have it. It should be more along the lines of, based on what we've discussed around your load profile, here's what I think are the products that you should consider, and here's why there's pros and cons of different ones. There is no one product fits all that's perfect out of the box. It should be a decision there that's guided by what you actually want the outcome to be, based around your load profile, based around what you want the system to do, based around your budget, based around your expectations for return on investment, and then the products should all flow through from that, and then obviously tick the box as well for the backup that we talked about earlier. So make sure that all of that stuff is being discussed through the product selection. The reason I would choose the installer first is if you're going to try and become a solar expert and look through technical data sheets, read lots of reviews, and try and just be an expert on every solar product out there, honestly, most people are just going to send themselves mad and end up in a situation I call analysis paralysis, where you just go, this is too much. There's so much conflicting information out there. There's millions of blog posts and videos that are all talking about products and how great they are. And oftentimes the people that are promoting them are doing that because they have good margin in those products. I understand there's a bit of irony there. We're a solar installer, we're creating a video. We have lots of videos about different products. I think if you've watched some of them, you'll see that we do try our best to be non-biased. Obviously there's always going to be a bit of biases there, but for us, if we're talking to someone about what product they should have, we always give them options. We always explain why they have those options, and we just try and guide them to the right system. But ultimately it's up to them, and it's what suits their needs, not what suits ours. So too often in this industry, we see that quick tick and flick quote. The reason people are doing that is because they have a warehouse full of one type of panel, one type of battery, one inverter, and they've got consultants that are coming in with little experience potentially. And it's just so easy just to say option A, B, and C. Here's what you give everybody. Ask them a few questions, give them these options, tick and flick. We've got loads of margin in the products now because we've bought lots of one type and it just all suits the company. And this is going to be the biggest electrical upgrade you ever do on your home. So make sure you take the time to get it designed for you and not just something that suits the person selling it to you. This stage now, you've obviously got a good idea of who the installer is, you've chosen your products, you've sized the system correctly. Then it's about committing to a product and an installer, and the next step is getting approvals for your system to be installed. So usually what would happen there is you would sign a quote and you'd send information across to that person with your NMI number on your power bill and some other details. They would then get the system approved. It has to be approved by whoever owns the network. You can't install it until you have approvals in place, much like a council approval for building a home. It's a little bit more straightforward than that, but it still needs to be approved. The company installing for you should do this for you. You should also get copied in on the emails that are going back and forth because it's an electronic process. There should be reference numbers in there that you can keep on file if you choose to. That process in terms of timeline can vary massively, but the whole point in doing that is so you get permission to connect your system to the grid by the grid owner. Through that process as well, your export limit will be decided. An export limit is how much you can sell back to the grid at any one time. So your solar panels will produce energy, they'll run your home. If there's more power needed, it will charge your battery. And if there's batteries full, it will then go back into the grid and be exported. You can also export power at different times with the battery where it's more valuable, meaning peak times during the evening, you can sell energy back to the grid where it's worth more through your battery. There's loads of videos on our site about that as well, so I won't go into too much detail. The important part here is that you understand there's an export limit, and it's not fully decided until that application is approved. For typically though, single phase homes will get a 5 kilowatt export, 3-phase homes will get 15. There can be differences there, higher or lower, which we cover in other videos, but that's when that decision is finally decided throughout that approval process. Now your system's approved, it has to be installed. So the system's installed. and there's additional paperwork that needs to be done from that approval process. Typically you'll get a reference number called an EWR. Once you get that EWR, and your installer should prompt you after the system's installed, you need to give your retailer a call, whoever your retailer is, and let them know that the system's installed so they can come and change your meter. Changing your meter just means that you're able to then buy energy but also sell back to the grid. If that's not done, your system will never be fully utilized. We always insist that people call their retailer because it can be missed throughout that process. So that quick call to check, here's my EWR, checking you've got everything you need for my meter. Yes, we have, great, it's in the pipeline, here's where it's going to be done. Once the meter's changed over, you can then sell energy back into the grid as well as buy energy from the grid. The install isn't, the overall process is not usually finished on install day though. And what I mean by that is if you want to maximize the benefit of your system, you really need to look at your monitoring, make sure it's set up properly and your system is performing correctly, and then your tariff structure, which makes such a big difference to your savings. It can double your savings if being on the correct tariff versus the wrong one. So firstly, your monitoring. You should get an app and a desktop version as well, where you can access the monitoring for your system. That should show you how much energy you're using in the home, and it should also show you how much energy you're producing, how much your battery's storing, and how you're using it. That's really important, especially early on, because you can check that the system's working correctly. Most monitoring platforms will also send you an email if there's something wrong with the system. So if there's an error or a product failure, you'll get an email. At this point, I would advise testing that. So if you've got your email address into a monitoring platform, send a test email somehow, do a report, make it send you an email, and just make sure that that email is going through to your inbox and not your spam box. If it's going to spam, mark it as safe. That way, 3 years down the track, if there's a failure with your system, you're not getting emails into your spam box. A lot of people don't check their monitoring years later either, so you might not even notice manually. So do that test email. The first couple of weeks of the system being installed, you're going to want to check it pretty often. Make sure there's some normalized weather throughout that time, but then just check that it's doing what it's meant to do. Check that your system, your battery's charging and discharging correctly. Check that your system production numbers are close to what they're supposed to be. You should have been provided with a little chart that shows you what it produces throughout that design process. Just check that it's close to that. It doesn't have to be exact. Obviously, weather and all those variables can change it a little bit. Make sure it's close. Make sure there's no errors. And then once you've got a little bit of data, it's the tariff conversation. So the tariff conversation should happen at the design stage as well, but nothing should really be finalized because your load profile and the system assumptions can be a little bit different once the system's actually installed. And you'll find that you start using energy differently after the system's installed. So give it a couple of weeks or maybe preferably a little bit longer. And then go back to your consultant and they should be able to help you choose a tariff based on exactly how your system's behaving and how you're using energy after the install. There's tariffs out there that allow you to get free energy during the day. There's tariffs out there that allow you to sell energy back in the nighttime for a lot more. There's VPPs, which basically mean dynamic pricing, so you can buy and sell at wholesale rates. There's a fair bit to consider, again, covered in other videos, so I won't go into too much detail. Basically though, the wrong versus right tariff for you makes a huge difference. So make sure you're selecting the right tariff. A good example of that is if the design has suggested that you need a large battery, your roof area is constrained, you might not be able to charge your battery fully, especially in the winter. So it would make sense then to look at a tariff that has either free or very cheap energy during the day, so you can charge your battery not just with solar, but from the grid also, and then obviously discharge it in the nighttime. That's just one example. There's lots of other nuances there that need to be considered. So make sure you get your tariff right after the install. Then I think it's worthwhile mentioning here that a solar system, as I said earlier, is probably the biggest electrical upgrade you'll ever do on your home. It's not something that you should just set and forget forever. When we install solar systems, we see that as a long-term relationship with the customers that we're installing them for. I get phone calls from people that we installed many years ago that sometimes want me to check their monitoring, to check a few things. Maybe there is an issue with the system or they need a tariff review, and they can always come to us through the life of that system to get that advice. I think that's where throughout that design process, you should also be getting the feeling that people are going to be there to support you through the life of the system, because your chances are with the solar and battery, you are going to need it. It might also mean that you need to upgrade. So you might need a bigger battery later on for different circumstances that have changed that you didn't think they would, or for whatever reason you need to put more panels on the roof, or something comes up and that company, if the original company is still there to advise, it makes such a big difference with that upgrade in terms of cost, but also in terms of just understanding your needs and the original design. And then tariff optimization, if you're a year in, check your tariff again. They change all the time. It's worthwhile just chucking something in the calendar for once a year to just look at your tariff. You can use online comparisons, you can go back to your original installer and just make sure that annually you're getting the best deal, because it can make hundreds and sometimes even thousands of dollars of difference by shifting the tariff onto the right one. So just once a year, refresh that tariff optimization and make sure that the system is serving you well. We're coming to the end here, and hopefully this has given you some value. I think the one take-home point I want people to get if they've made it this far in the video and they're seriously looking at solar and battery is, don't just look at a quote for products and price and make a decision. The size of the system is important, but it's more important to make sure that it's sized for you. So the design part of it is really, really important. It shouldn't be overlooked. It shouldn't be, there should be sufficient time taken there. Once you've got the design right and the sizing right, find a good installer, make sure you're comfortable with the installer that you're talking to, then choose your products, then obviously go through the approval process, make sure that you've got your export limits the way that you thought they would be, get the system installed, keep an eye on the monitoring and make sure it's performing the way it should, get your tariff set up correctly, and then use your installer in the future if you need to for tariff optimization, upgrades, or just questions about how the system's working, because it's a large investment. It's an energy ecosystem, not just a simple, straightforward solar panel anymore. You want it to last, and you want it to work for you for many, many years. In the description to this video, I'm going to put our battery guide, which is free. I think a lot of people have found that quite useful if they're new to solar and battery. So you can click the link there and get that guide downloaded. If you've got direct questions, please feel free to hit us up in the comments. Or get in touch with us if you'd like us to do a proposal for you. And if you want to hear more about solar and battery, hit subscribe. We have videos coming out every week. And if you're looking for solar and battery or already have it installed, I think you'll find them pretty useful. And if not, hopefully you've got some value from this one, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. So thank you.